Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Wealth and Wisdom. Today, we're discussing how Bitcoin can potentially be a force for global peace by defunding wars. It's an intriguing perspective that takes us back to a time of financial stability, reminiscent of the gold standard. Let's jump in and explore this concept. To understand the potential impact of Bitcoin on global peace, we first need to grasp the connection between modern fiat currencies and the prevalence of wars. In the fiat world, which is the current financial system most countries operate under, governments have the authority to create and control their own currencies. This means they can print money whenever they see fit, often without any inherent backing like gold or silver. This ability to print unlimited amounts of money can lead to inflation and devaluation of the currency over time. Now, how does this relate to warfare? Well, in this system, governments can fund wars by simply printing more money. This has historically enabled a cycle of what some refer to as endless wars. With the financial capacity to fund military endeavors, nations can engage in conflicts for extended periods, sometimes even when it might not be in the best interest of their citizens or the global community. As a consequence, the costs of warfare can be obscured. Governments can continue to allocate resources to conflicts without an immediate and visible impact on their fiscal stability. This lack of financial constraint has contributed to a pattern of prolonged and costly wars around the world. Over time, we've seen an increase in military spending across nations, with the fiat world providing the monetary means to sustain these endeavors. This financial dynamic raises critical questions about the sustainability and ethics of perpetual warfare. So, when we talk about defunding wars through Bitcoin, we're highlighting a potential shift away from this fiat-based system towards a more disciplined and accountable financial framework. Bitcoin's properties, such as its limited supply and decentralized nature, could serve as a counterbalance to the fiat-based model and potentially lead to a more peaceful global landscape. Bitcoin operates on a decentralized system with a finite supply of 21 million coins. It was designed with scarcity in mind. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in existence. This controlled and predictable supply is in stark contrast to fiat currencies, which can be printed in unlimited quantities by central authorities. This finite supply is maintained through a process called mining. Miners use powerful computers to solve complex mathematical puzzles. When they successfully solve a puzzle, they're rewarded with newly created Bitcoins. However, this reward decreases over time in a process known as the halving, which occurs approximately every 4 years. This ensures that the creation of new Bitcoins becomes progressively more difficult, eventually capping the total supply at 21 million. This scarcity principle is akin to the gold standard, where currency was backed by a finite amount of gold. In the case of Bitcoin, its limited supply helps create a sense of economic stability and prevents the arbitrary creation of money, which is a hallmark of fiat currencies. Another key aspect of Bitcoin is its transparency. Every transaction is recorded on the blockchain, providing a clear and public ledger of financial activity. When you make a Bitcoin transaction, it's like writing an entry in a public ledger. This ledger is called the blockchain. Unlike traditional financial systems, where transactions can be obscured or manipulated, the blockchain is an open and unchangeable record of every Bitcoin transaction that has ever occurred. This transparency serves as a powerful tool for accountability. Anyone can view the transaction history of any Bitcoin address. This means that if there were attempts to use Bitcoin to fund wars or engage in illicit activities, these transactions would be permanently recorded and visible for everyone to see. Additionally, because the blockchain is decentralized and distributed across a network of computers, nodes, it's nearly impossible to alter or manipulate the historical record. This level of immutability adds an extra layer of security and trust to the system. In essence, Bitcoin's transparency and accountability features act as a deterrent against any attempts to use the cryptocurrency for nefarious purposes, including funding wars. It creates a level playing field where all transactions are on public record, discouraging any illicit use. Bitcoin's decentralized nature also makes it resilient to political influence and manipulation. It operates outside the control of any single government or institution. In the world of traditional finance, governments and central banks have a significant level of control over their respective currencies. They can enact policies, like monetary easing or tightening, that directly impact the value and stability of their currency. Now, contrast this with Bitcoin. Bitcoin operates on a decentralized network of computers, known as nodes, spread across the globe. These nodes collectively validate and record transactions on the blockchain. No single entity or government has ultimate authority over Bitcoin. This decentralization is a key feature that makes Bitcoin resistant to political interference. It's not subject to the policies or decisions of any single nation or institution. This is a stark departure from the fiat world, where currencies can be influenced by factors like inflation, interest rates, and government policies. Because Bitcoin's rules are governed by a consensus mechanism and enforced by the network, it's highly resilient to attempts at manipulation. This is particularly important in the context of warfare, where currencies can sometimes be used as tools of economic warfare or sanctions. So, Bitcoin's decentralized nature acts as a safeguard against arbitrary decisions that could lead to conflicts driven by geopolitical interests. It provides a level of stability and neutrality that can potentially contribute to a more peaceful global landscape. The discussion we've had today leads us to an intriguing possibility that Bitcoin, with its properties of limited supply, transparency, and decentralization, could play a role in reshaping the way we approach conflicts and warfare. By adopting a system that mirrors the principles of the gold standard, where currency is tied to a finite resource, we create a financial environment that discourages reckless spending on wars. This potential shift could lead to a more accountable and disciplined approach to global affairs. Imagine a world where resources are allocated towards endeavors that benefit humanity as a whole: infrastructure, education, healthcare, and environmental conservation. A world where nations collaborate rather than compete in a race for military dominance. Now, it's important to note that this isn't a guarantee. It's a potential pathway, one that requires careful consideration and collective action. It's up to us, as a global community, to navigate this future and make choices that lead us towards a more peaceful world. So, as we contemplate the potential impact of Bitcoin on global peace, let's keep in mind that every step towards a more accountable and peaceful world is a step in the right direction. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Bitcoin's potential role in shaping a more peaceful world. If you found this video thought-provoking, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this. Remember, every small step towards peace counts. I'll see you in the next one. We end this video with the hope and prayer for a free and liberated Palestine. Free Palestine. Assalamu alaikum.